Because if I don't love myself, how can I love others? If I don't have compassion with myself deeply, how can I walk a path that's regenerative where I don't burn out completely in trying to serve others? So I've been opening up, and now I feel that I'm quite connected to anger. I'm better at feeling and expressing anger than I was a couple of years ago. Welcome to today's Stream of Consciousness episode. Today on the topic of toxic positivity, the fine line between optimism and suppression. I'm really excited about this topic because it relates a lot to my inner journey, to my experience, and to my past. So let's get started. Toxic positivity. For me, it's a term that has been coming up lately in the last couple of years, more and more and more. And I want to take you onto my personal journey because I have heard so many people many years ago, and now less and less and less, say things to me like, John, you're always in such a good state. How can that be? Is that really true? And I don't believe you. I think you're faking something. I think you're covering up something that you're suppressing. So many people have been telling me this, and it's been on my mind. And when the first couple of times someone told me that, I was maybe 20. And it stuck with me, and I tried to understand what they meant, but I didn't understand it in the beginning. And then the years passed, and I've been going deeper and deeper and deeper through to the into the down the rabbit hole of personal development. And I wanted to understand myself better and better and better. And that was a major aspect of it. So what I found, I want to share with you and see how that resonates. What I found for myself is that I actually experience the world and myself most of the time in a very positive and optimistic way. And I do that because of two different aspects. The first aspect is a huge one, how I was raised. So I grew up, and I'm so grateful for that, with a very, very, very loving family. And I received a lot of being held in my emotions, with my longings, with my dreams, being angry and sad. And I was asked every day, in the morning by my mother, how are you? And what is your longing for the day? And imagine which kind of impact that has on a being growing up. That someone, first of all, is interested in how you actually are. And then they also open up this door of possibilities of, wow, I can shape the world. I can have dreams, and they can even become reality. So this is incredibly fascinating. So that definitely contributed to me seeing the world in a positive way and state. And at the same time, I've also been training myself actively. That means that, for example, if someone gives me a feedback and says something like, I want to give you feedback about something that you did. Maybe this person didn't like something that I did or thought that I could do it in a better way. I always turn on my curiosity ears, how I like to call them. And then the person might use words that could harm me, where I could feel hurt and it could feel like, I'm not a good person. But by turning on these curiosity ears, I always ask myself, if this person has the best intention ever, what do they want to say to me? Because they won't have the intention of hurting me, as I assume a positive, good intention. So they probably want to support me, and probably I can learn something. So that makes, for example, receiving feedback for me something beautiful. And I receive that in a positive way. So someone could be criticizing me and saying something bad about me, quote unquote. And I would receive it with a thank you. Thanks for helping me on my path. Or I have many rituals that I built into my day. And I'm practicing these rituals for wow, many, 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 many years. 15 years? Yeah. Longer? I don't know. And these rituals include the most basic things, right? It's about gratitude very often. For example, every time I'm in the shower and I open it, that water comes out. Before that, I always ask myself to say one thing that I'm grateful for every day in the morning. Like, what am I grateful for? And today it was, for example, my health. And what was the second one? Yeah, that I'm grateful that I can follow this path that I'm currently on, which includes recording this podcast episode. So that's one gratitude ritual. Another one is in my morning routine, I do like 15 minutes of stretching, and then something that I integrated recently, last 2 months, I didn't have that before, is going out for a walk for half an hour just to get some sunlight in my eyes, fresh air. Sometimes I walk around with weights as well, so I get my body moving a little bit. And then I go to the shower, do this water ritual, and then I meditate for like 10 minutes. And at the end of every meditation, I smile to myself and I tell myself, I love you. Like, I love myself. It's what I do every morning. And it sounds super cheesy. And at the same time, I really want to practice and cultivate more self-compassion, more self-love. Because if I don't love myself, how can I love others? If I don't have compassion with myself deeply, how can I walk a path that's regenerative, where I don't burn out completely in trying to serve others, right? So that's something which also shapes my perception of the world. So I start the day very often in an open state where I'm like, connected with myself, amazing. Now I can go out into the world. So there I don't feel that I'm suppressing anything. However, in my personal journey, there were many, many years where I was suppressing uncomfortable emotions. And not consciously, that's the thing, unconsciously. Because, and I figured that out after some years of personal development, because I realized that when growing up, in the first couple of years especially, I didn't want to put any additional burden onto my mother. And I thought as a tiny child that expressing unpleasant emotions like anger, especially, that's a burden or harmful. So I unconsciously trained myself when I was maybe 5, 6 years old to not experience anger anymore, because I thought, unconsciously again, that's the best strategy. If I don't experience anger, I probably also cannot express it. And it's not that I wasn't angry anymore, but I tried unconsciously to suppress this more and more and more. So there was a part of my journey where I could use the term toxic positivity, how I experience the world, how I express myself. And I don't want to include any blame or shame or guilt into the story because it doesn't serve anyone, right? So just observe, yeah, that was a behavior that I was showing, suppressing certain emotions because it came out of an intention of care, in this case for my mother. And I'm super excited, by the way, to hear what these thoughts and my words spark inside of you, what that does to you, what you're reflecting about when listening to these words. And yeah, then I just realized that I was suppressing certain emotions, especially anger. And as I, for myself, have this strong longing to live my essence, that means I want to be connected to all of my parts, to all of myself. And that includes all of my emotions and experiencing them just as something healthy, as something that's nourishing, as something that's just part of my existence. So I've been opening up, and now I feel that I'm quite connected to anger. I'm better at feeling and expressing anger than I was a couple of years ago. And it's been a long path, and I've been trying many, many, many things and all these different approaches and modalities. And now I feel confident also to invite other people onto this journey. So if you want to connect more with your anger in a healthy way, feel free to reach out to me, by the way. And yes, so this is this fine line between optimism and suppression that I've been on. And now I feel that I've cultivated so many rituals, especially throughout my day to day, that support me in being in a positive state. And positive means to me open, curious, conscious, and generous. That I experience this generosity, that I assume that life wants something good for me, and that it will come, that certain events in my life have some meaning and contribute towards something. So that's how I try to see the world. That's because it supports me. And I mentioned that in another episode as well. I believe that we can also choose to have certain belief systems, and these belief systems can support us or not. And I choose to have this belief system because I feel that it supports me. So now I've been on this journey myself for a long time in integrating many more parts, emotions, bodily sensations, and so on and so forth. And now I find the greatest joy and passion to support other people in integrating their various aspects of self and becoming more whole. And becoming more whole for me is healing. So if you want to use the word healing in how I see it, it's just becoming more whole, integrating more of these parts that we may be shut off, banned, excluded, didn't want to have anymore. So I also really just invite you onto this journey because for me it feels very fulfilling. I feel that my life has become more fulfilled, richer, deeper in connections and relationships, more and more nourishing. And just I experience way more freedom through this authenticity. So I hope this is inspiring. This conversation and the conversation that I'm having with myself right now in front of you on this topic of toxic positivity, the fine line between optimism and suppression. So now I just wish you all the best, playing around with that and seeing how it affects you and what you want to take for your life from this episode. Looking forward to speaking to you in the next episode of Essence. If you're enjoying this podcast, I invite you to click follow. Your single click can contribute to inspiring more and more people. I also invite you to go to my website and download my free 9 Ways to Live Your Essence guide. All the information you find in the description. So now let's continue with today's episode.